Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. This is Mr. Pradeep Chaskar from D.Y. Patil University School of Pharmacy. Let me introduce to our speaker first, Mr. Sunil Patil, who is a master in pharmacy in pharmaceutical analysis with distinction from KM Kundnani College, Mumbai. He has done his postgraduate diploma in intellectual property rights and has 6 years experience in IPR R&D. He has been invited several times for guest lectures and as speakers for various talks. Now, currently, he is a co-founder and technical advisor for Inorim Life Sciences LLP Mumbai. In addition to this, he is a consultant for Advanced Pharma Private Limited. Now, I request Dr. Rakesh Somani, our principal, to say a few words about today's session.
Yeah, so thank you, Pradeep sir. So this is, hello, am I audible? It's him? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So, all dear audience who are here for this today's webinar, it gives me an immense pleasure to welcome all of you and especially our today's valuable speaker, Mr. Sunil Patil. I have been knowing Mr. Sunil Patil since last almost 6-7 years, and he has been really and actually pursuing his career into this regulatory affairs and intellectual property right. So I welcome you, Mr. Sunil Patil, on our platform today, and it is our pleasure to have you here. I'm sure that the audience is going to get a great benefit out of this session. Just to inform to the audience that the D.Y. Patil University School of Pharmacy started its operation in 2019 with the two courses, that is degree pharmacy B Pharm and diploma pharmacy D Pharm program. We are now moving into second year, and this entire 1 year, the school has been proving as one of the choice or destination for the pharmacy program among the student community. You may visit our website www.dypatil.edu/pharmacy for the details about the school and the activities the school has been pursuing for the student community. May I request now to Mr. Pradeep Chaskar to please take over the session, and so that Mr. Sunil Patil can further go ahead. Thank you so much, and once again welcome to one and all.
Thank you, sir. I now request our honorable speaker today, Mr. Sunil Patil, to please take over the session.
Yes, sure, sir. First of all, thank you so much, Pradeep sir and Somani sir, for your kind words for introduction and to give me opportunity to associate with D.Y. Patil University. So I will start with the session now. Hello, good afternoon to all. Hope everyone is safe and doing well at home. So I have divided this session into two parts. So first part will be pharmaceutical regulatory affairs and second part will be of IPR. So moving with the first part. So these are the points of today's session. So we'll start with the structure of pharma industry and we'll go through whatever the regulatory operations and IPR operations of pharmaceutical industry. So starting with the structure of pharma industry. Okay. So you might be knowing that there are different departments in the pharmaceutical industry, starting with the production, then R&D, sales and marketing, regulatory affairs, QC, QA, legal, IPR, purchase and stores. So we are just focusing on regulatory affairs and legal and IPR department, right? So starting with the regulatory affairs, so like I have divided it in three parts. So mainly for Europe, US and ROW. ROW is nothing but rest of the world. Like all remaining countries will be covered in the ROW section or part, you can say. Then regarding IPR, like I have again divided IPR department in subtypes like trade secrets, patents and trademarks. So whatever the respective classification that we will cover. Okay. So starting with the regulatory affairs. So might be like you might be knowing or not regarding this regulatory affairs field. So what regulatory affairs exactly means? So you might be aware that for pharmaceutical products, we need to register under government rules and regulations. So whatever the government or health authorities, government agencies, you can say, so the company's department which is associated with company and government agency or health agency, you can say. So the regulatory affairs is the bridge between pharma company and government agency, or you can say health agency of the respective country. That is what the basic or layman meaning of the regulatory affairs, or you can say pharmaceutical regulatory affairs. Now, what regulatory affairs exactly do in pharma industry? So regulatory affairs is a profession which developed from the desire of government to protect public health by controlling the safety and efficacy of the product. So by means of the registration, all registration process, so whatever the safety measures or whatever the efficacy measures of the finished product, that are reviewed and controlled or checked by the regulatory profession or regulatory person for pharmaceuticals or veterinary products or for medical devices, for pesticides, for agrochemicals, or for nutraceuticals and cosmetics. So this is what the basic function of the regulatory affairs, to protect or to provide their valuable knowledge or whatever the techniques they have for safety and efficacy controlling. Then regulatory affairs is in the pharma industry may be defined as the interface between that, as we have discussed, it is the interface or bridge between the pharma company and government health agency. So that is what the definition, basic definition of the regulatory affairs. So what exact role is there in the pharma industry for regulatory affairs person or professional? So it is involved in registration documents to regulatory agency, or to keep track on every change in the legislation by means of the guideline or whatever the guideline specified for the safety or efficacy or quality of the product. So basically tracking of those guidelines, or continuously checking health authorities websites or whatever the GRs or notifications of the health agencies. Then it gives strategic and technical advice to R&D team, whatever the R&D team of that particular company. Then production department, and then QC department. So a regulatory affairs person gives whatever the guidelines or rules given in the guidelines. So as per those guidelines, your product should be uh, formulated or manufactured based on the rules and regulations. So this is what the exact role of a regulatory affairs person. Now, why DRA department is required in pharmaceutical organization? Now, like all we know that pharma is the most regulated of all the industries. Like you just compare pharma industry with other industries like chemical industries or food industries. So among all of these industries, pharma industry is the most regulated industry, because it directly involves with the safety or whatever the effect in the patients or in the society. That's why pharma industry is most regulated, we can say. Then whatever the regulations, these regulations are put in order to develop the most efficient and safe pharmaceutical products. So whatever the products companies are developing, so those products should be safe and efficient, or it should give 100% efficacy to the patient. That is what the major purpose to setting up of the regulatory affairs department in the pharma organization. Okay. The next, it takes more than 8 to 15 years to develop a new drug product, right? And it almost costs more than US dollar 800 million, right? To set up any new product in the market. Actually, it takes almost 800 or 800 to 1000 US dollar million rupees. Okay. So you just imagine how it is taking efforts or whatever the scientist working day and night to launch that product or to formulate that product. So regulatory affairs provides insight guidance into this development through agency wisdom collected in guidance, or whatever the experience a regulatory professional have, or whatever the market strategies he have or she have. and hence it helps to reduce the number of development failures. So whatever the developments going on, or whatever development batches going on in the industry, so those failures can be avoided because of the current rules or whatever the registration processes available for those respective countries. Okay, the next point is DRA is associated actually with which agencies and for in which departmental organizations it is involved. So we will discuss first with regards to the health agencies, country-wise health agencies, and then we will discuss regarding the departments to which regulatory affair of department coordinates. So starting with the India, now all we know that CDSCO is the central drug standard control organization, is the central body for India, like for regulation of the dossier or whatever the registrations, product registrations or licensing that we usually do with the help of this CDSCO portal for India. Same as that of India, US having their own health authority, US FDA. Okay. So United States Federal Drug Administration, Foods and Drug Administration, you can say. Then for Europe, there is European Medicines Agency. So this EMA is European Medicines Agency. Then for UK, MHRA, so Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Authority. Okay, it is Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Authority for United Kingdom. Then Therapeutic Goods Administration is for Australia, and SAFRA is for South Africa. This SAFRA is nothing but South African Health Products Regulatory Authority. So previously it was known as MCC, Medicines Control Council for South Africa. Recently, like in last 2 years, it got changed from MCC to SAFRA. Like they have adopted some new guidelines and they have given new name as a SAFRA. Okay. Then the departments which are like actually involved with the registration process or which are coordinating with regulatory affairs department. So product development, or you can say F&D, formulation and development. Then clinical research and trials. So this department is nothing but your pharmacovigilance department. Then licensing department. So licensing department is nothing but your IPR and patent department. So in which you can file patent or trademark for your product. That is what the licensing department. Then manufacturing department. Manufacturing is actual production department of your own whatever the pharma company you have, for which you are like going for registration. Then next, quality assurance and controls. So quality assurance is like central department for documentation process. So all the documents in pharma industry are maintained by this quality assurance department. Okay, and quality control department is mainly related with quality or whatever the quality control test for those finished product. So that is what the quality control department. Then next is the marketing department. Now this marketing department is actually like responsible for the marketing of the product or whatever the seminars or templates you are advertising for your product. So in that your marketing department is involved. So these are the internal departments which are associated with your regulatory affairs team, or which helps for generation of the data and submission of the data for registration of the product. Clear? Understanding? If you have any questions, you can ask in between also, or you can ask after the session also, or in between also at that specific point also. Okay. So moving with the next point, that whatever the issues does DRA department provide assistance, or whatever the DRA helping in issues like licensing process, registration process, development, manufacturing, quality guidance, then pricing of the product, then marketing, pharmacovigilance, GMP, that is good manufacturing practices, then GLP, goods laboratory practices, then GCP, good clinical practices, then patent, or you can say IPR activities, then copyright, trademark, and many more. So these are the areas in which DRA assist or give assistance to respective departments like your production, marketing, QC, QA, formulation. So regulatory solves these issues with the help of those regulations and guidances available for those respective countries or health authorities, you can say. Now, regarding regulatory affairs, you should know these terms. So, whatever the terms like dossier, DMF, CTD, ECTD, NDA, ANDA, or MMA, MAA. So, these terms you should know if you are like interested for regulatory affairs, or if you are the responsible person of your organization, and if you are going to register your product. So, you should know these terms. So, starting with the dossier. Now, what is dossier? Dossier is a set of documents. Okay, is a set of documents from administrative documents to all quality and safety documents. So your dossier will contain all data regarding your administrative data like cover letter or application forms. Then whatever the quality control data or BMRs, BPRs, we will discuss in detail in the next slides. So dossier is a collection or set of documents, you can say file of documents that contain all the technical data of pharmaceutical product to be approved, registered and marketed in a country. So as per the guideline, there are some steps are given that which documents should be there in your administrative data and which documents should be there in your quality data. Okay, so it is most commonly called as registration dossier. So like in US and Europe. So in US it is known as new drug application, and in Europe it is known as marketing authorization application. So MAA. So the same term is same, but country wise it may differ. Whatever the registration process you are referring, so that will be different country wise. So next, DMF. Now dossier is for all your API and finished product data, but DMF is specifically for API data. So whatever active pharmaceutical ingredient you are using for the finished product. So all data related to that API, active pharmaceutical ingredient, that will be in DMF. That is drug master file. So again, these drug master files are classified in 5 different types. So the type 1 is related to your manufacturing sites, whatever the facilities available in your organization, then whatever the standard operating procedures and personnel working in your organization. So this first type of drug master file is for mainly for your manufacturing site and facilities. Okay, then this next type 2 is for your drug substance, actual drug substance. So whatever the API, so type 2 is for drug substance or maybe for intermediate and material used in their preparation, or whatever the raw materials you are using for the synthesis of API. So this type 2 is generally for those raw materials and drug substances. Then type 3 is related to your packaging material. Suppose you are using any aluminum foil or any carton boxes or cartons, so you have to refer type 3 drug master file for packaging material. Then next type 4 is for whatever the excipients or additives you are using in your formulation, like whatever the colorants or antioxidants or flavors you are using. So for them, type 4 DMF is used for the submission purpose. Then type fifth type is FDA accepted reference information. So if there is any additional requirement requested by the health agency, so those additional data are generally submitted under this type 5 drug master file. Okay, so usually in terms of our pharmaceutical products, we mainly refers type 2 of drug master file for submission, as we are using API. Okay, so that type 2 is generally used for the submission purpose or for registration purpose. So again, in US, it is known as United States Drug Master File, or you can simply refer it as a US DMF. Then in Europe, it is known as EDMF, European Drug Master File, or also it is known as ASMF, Active Substance Master File in Europe. So these are the terminologies as per the countries. Okay, now next is what is CTD and eCTD. Now, whatever the dossier and DMF. So, for submission of this dossier and DMF, there is one common set of guidelines or you can say design for the submission. So, it should be submitted as per CTD or eCTD sequence only. Okay, so there are different types of sequences or codes are given for the submission of your product or for registration purpose. So this CTD is nothing but common technical document. So it is an format set by ICH. Now ICH is International Conference on Harmonization, which was agreed by regulatory agencies like your Europe, Japan, and the US. So as accepted by these countries, and we ideally refers whatever the data is submitted to these health authorities, Europe, Japan, and the US, and the same data we used to submit in other countries, that is in ROW markets, because we consider these countries as a regulated countries or regulated markets. So it is easier in ROW countries to accept the same documents or same dossiers easily, and they approve it easily because it has been already submitted to regulated countries, right? And regarding eCTD, so whatever the set of documents, if you are submitting these documents in the format or electronic format or electronic version, so that format is known as eCTD format, or simply it is termed as electronic common technical document. So these are just submission guidelines. So as per the European and US guidelines, your dossier should be in CTD or eCTD format. But after 2019, it is mandatory that you should submit whatever the registration data in eCTD format only. So in US and Europe, you have to submit your dossier in eCTD format only. Prior to 2019, it was accepted in CTD format. Now, what was simple CTD format? It was just set up all PDF documents. But now from 2020, 2019, whatever the dossier, that should be in electronic format. So after 2019, it is submitted only in eCTD format. Now this is what the CTD triangle, or whatever the contents of dossier, you can say your contents of dossier. So mainly in Europe and US, your dossier is of or classified in 5 modules. Am I audible to all? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, okay. So we will continue with the CTD triangle. Now, this CTD triangle is nothing but the set of documents only. Now, see, you just observe this triangle starting from module 1, then module 2, module 3, 4, and 5. So, for US and European submission, you need to classify or compile your data from module 1 to module 5. Now starting with the module 1 is mainly related to administrative data. So whatever the cover letters and application forms or SMPC, summary of product characteristics, then PIL, patient information leaflet. So whatever the leaflet you might have observed in syrup bottle or in tablet box. So there is one patient information leaflet. So all these administrative data are there in module 1. Okay, so whatever the administrative data, that is again different for all countries. Like for again in Europe Union, there are 29 countries in European Union. So for these 29 union, again there are different languages. So whatever the patient information leaflet and summary of product characteristics we are submitting, that should be in their local language. Okay, so like suppose I want to send registration data to Belgium authority or France authority, so I should submit a separate or regional language or whatever the administrative data, that should be in regional language. So this module 1 is not a part of the CTD because of these language issues. Okay, so module 2 to module 5 is under CTD format only, and module 1 is non CTD part. So in module 2, all summaries and overviews are there. So your module 2 is summary of your module 3, module 4, and module 5. That is what the module 2. So if you observe this module 2, so it contains quality overall summary, then non-clinical overview, non-clinical summary, clinical overview, and clinical summary. Again, just to highlight this non-clinical and clinical, under this non-clinical, you have to submit animal data or whatever the literature references for animal studies you have performed for your product. Okay, that is what the non-clinical overview and summary. Now, what is the major difference between this overview and summary? This overview is like short document of your whole non-clinical studies or non-clinical reports, and summary is like you have to give all steps starting from your step 1 to final conclusion that you have to submit under this summary. But this overview is like final output you have to submit under this overview. That is what the major difference between overview and summary. Then clinical overview and clinical summary, like animal studies, under this clinical studies you have to submit human data or whatever the clinical studies you are performing for a new drug. That is for this clinical overview and clinical summary. Then next, module 3. So module 3 is mainly related to, or it is also known as technical module. So all quality related data is there in module 3. Now you will say that which type of technical data we submit in module 3. So starting from your API data, whatever the API process. So your DMF is also the part of this module 3. So whatever drug master file you are submitting, that you are submitting under this module 3, because module 3 is again classified in two types, uh, in for drug substance and for drug product. So under drug substance you will submit your drug master file, and for under your drug product you will submit your finished product data, like your pharmaceutical development, whatever the dissolution studies you have performed for your product, that you will submit under drug product. So just remember, in module 3 again there are two subtypes, drug substance and drug product. Then next, module 4. So module 4 is again in detail data of non-clinical studies. So animal studies, reports, literature references, you have to submit under this module 4. Then next, module 5. So module 5 is again for human studies, whatever clinical trials you are conducting for your product. So that will be submitted under module 5. So this is what the description of this CTD triangle. Just remember one thing here, your module 1 will not be the part of your CTD, because that module 1 may differ country wise. Like country wise there are different requirements, maybe language or whatever the cover letters or application forms you have to submit in their local language. So these are again the subtypes of your module. So mainly in module 1, which type of data we should submit, like for Europe. So these are the documents, like application form, summary of product characteristics, patient information leaflet. Again, here one major difference in between patient information leaflet and summary of product characteristics. Mainly summary of product characteristics is for physician, and patient information leaflet is for patient specifically. That is that comes along with your pack, whatever the tablet box or syrup bottle, that PIL or patient information leaflet is there with that box. But summary of product characteristic is for a physician. So that is what the major difference from this module 1. So there for Europe and US, there are again different types of set of documents. So this LOA, whatever the letter of authorization, that is specifically required in US only. Now what this LOA is nothing but whatever the DMF you are submitting. So if you are giving LOA along with your submission, that means you are giving authority to the agency, other agency, that you can access that data anytime. Okay, that is what the LOA. That LOA means letter of authorization. So you are giving authority to other agency to access that data, because nowadays everything is in electronic format. So whatever DMF you are giving, whatever data they need, they can search on internet and they can access that data. So and they can modify your DMF. if they want that your specific section should be as per their format, so they can access that data. So that is what the letter of authorization. So that is the additional requirement in US. So this is what related to your module 1. So just remember, in module 1 we have to submit administrative data like your cover letter, application forms, or whatever the local or regional language documents. Then in module 2, it is like a summarized module. You can also term it as a summarized module. So all types of summaries you are submitting in module 2. So it contains almost 7 sections. So CTD document, again common technical document. So you are submitting summary of module 2 to module 5 in module 2. Okay. So in module 2 you are submitting summary of module 3, 4 and 5. So you have to give introduction of your or outline of your product in the module 2. Then quality overall summary. In this quality overall summary, you have to give all whatever the technologies you are using for formulation purpose, that you have to give. Again, non-clinical overview and clinical overview. Again, animal studies and human studies data you have to submit. Then module 3. So module 3 is also known as quality module. So as discussed, that drug substance and drug product. So these are the major subtypes of this module 3. So under drug substance, you have to submit a drug master file, and under drug product, you have to submit all your finished products data. So in appendices, like if in appendices, you have to give factory layout. Okay, whatever the factory layout you have used for the formulation, that you have to submit under this appendices section. Then regional information. Now for this regional information, if your product is like region specific, there are different requirements. So in Europe there is a CEP for your APIs. So what is CEP? CEP is certificate of suitability as per European Pharmacopoeia. Like if your drug is having CEP, no need to submit API data if your drug is having CEP. That CEP is authorized by the European Union to your API. If your drug is having CEP, it means no need to perform any data or any quality control for API, because that data is already or whatever the quality control that is already performed by the European Union. That CEP means that your data is means no need to perform any quality control testings for your API. And if your API doesn't have CEP, so you have to submit your DMF starting from your all stability data, quality control data. Okay, and that is known as ASMF, active substance master file. If your drug is drug doesn't have CEP, so it is termed as ASMF, active substance master file. Okay, so in the regional information, you have to submit that CEP certificate. So there is like one document, common format for European Union if your drug is having CEP. Then literature references. Suppose any quality related references or research papers you are getting, that you have to also submit in literature references section under module 3. Then next, module 4, mainly related to non-clinical study reports. So here you have to give detailed reports of animal studies. So whatever analysis you are conducting for your finished product on animals, that you have to submit in module 4. So pharmacology, pharmacokinetics, and toxicology data of animals, whatever the data you are creating in with the help of animal studies. Then module 5. So module 5 is mainly clinical study reports. So all human clinical trials, you can say, if your drug is totally new, in that case, you have to submit clinical trials report. And if your drug is under generic product, generic means the patent for that product has been already expired. That is what the generic product. So for generic product, you have to submit these BA/BE studies, bioavailability and bioequivalence studies. You have to submit only for your ANDA product or generic product, you can say. If your product is totally new, for that new product, you have to submit clinical trials report. So this table of contents, then whatever the reports of biopharmaceutical study, reports, pharmacokinetic, pharmacodynamic, and safety efficacy reports. And here also one additional requirement is of marketing surveillance. Whatever the marketing surveillance reports are there, like marketing surveillance report is mainly whatever the brands available or products available relevant to your product. So that data you have to submit along with your registration documents. So this is what the eCTD, whatever documents you are submitting in electronic format, and those documents are again submitted, or whatever the PDF documents, those are linked with your XML backbone. Now, what is this XML backbone? Whatever PDF documents you have, so those PDF documents are like generated in sequence or tabular format with the help of this XML backbone. XML is extensible markup language. So as per this, this is for easy transportation of the data. Like if you are sending any file, so that should be in a granular format or in sequential format. That's why you are taking help of this eCTD sequences. And this eCTD, for this eCTD, there are different types of softwares. So mainly eCTD manager. So whatever the data you are publishing electronically, so for that electronic publication, you need softwares for publication purpose. So from 2019, all countries like Europe and US, they are accepting eCTD dossiers only. So these are the general characteristic that whatever the transparency of your entire submission, so that will be easy for review purpose. So that is what the major purpose of this eCTD characteristics. Then benefits of eCTD. So like it improves the efficiency, it can reduce the time, whatever the handling of document, that will be easier. Then it will be easy for searching. If you are searching old data, so for old data searching, it will be easy. Like sequentially, you will save that data, so you can easily access data from your database if you are submitting with the help of eCTD. Then next, you can easily access documents from all types of modules, whatever modules you are submitting, starting from your module 1 to 5. So you can easily access that data. Then submission via ESG. Now this ESG is nothing but European Submission Gateway. So there are different types of softwares for submission also. So with the help of those softwares only, you can submit dossier to the authority or health agency. So again, there are different types of registration process in Europe, mainly centralized procedure. Centralized procedure is mainly for single application, and centralized process is generally for biotechnological products specifically. Okay, so this centralized procedure for registration in Europe is used for the registration of biotechnological products only. Then next, national procedure. This national procedure is for registration in single country in Europe for general products. Okay, just remember the difference between centralized and national. Centralized is also for single country, national is also for single country, but for centralized, it is used for biotechnological products, and national procedures generally used for all other remaining pharma products. That is what the major difference between centralized and national. So in a single or single union, you can like single country, you can register your product with these centralized procedures or national procedures. So there are 4 different types of registration processes in Europe. So first is centralized, second is national, third is decentralized procedure. So if you want to register your product in more than one country, so DCP or decentralized procedure generally referred for the registration of product in one or more than one country. So DCP is generally used for more than one country. But if you want to register your product in multiple countries, like 5 or 10 countries, so you have to refer this mutual recognition procedure. Okay, so these are the registration processes in Europe specifically. So this was regarding regulatory affairs, pharmaceutical regulatory affairs. So any questions regarding regulatory affairs? Hope you understand all the things. If you have any questions related to regulatory affairs, you can ask. Otherwise, I will start with the next part.
Sir, please proceed.
Okay. So moving towards the part two, that is IPR or intellectual property rights and its types. So now this IPR or intellectual properties, mainly it is related to licensing or legal team of the pharma organization. So every company have their respective legal teams or licensing teams for maintaining these IPRs or intellectual properties. So, what is intellectual property exactly? So, intellectual property is the product or creation of the mind. So, whatever the new creation or idea of the mind, that is termed as intellectual property. So, it is different from other properties in term that it is intangible. Now, what is intangible? So, again, there are different classification for types of properties like uh, tangible and intangible, movable and immovable properties. So like intangible property, you can't transfer whatever the ideas, because that will be the self creation or self invented ideas. So that is what the intangible, that meaning of the intangible word. So you cannot transfer whatever the ideas or creations in your mind or you have. That is what the intangible things. So intellectual property is intangible thing. Okay, so for the protection of intellectual property, there are certain rights which are set up by the Ministry of Commerce mainly. So IPR is body or whatever the intellectual property rights is the body of law developed to protect the creative people who have disclosed their invention for the benefit of mankind, or which have some advantage, or which is giving some advantage to the society. So for the protection of those properties, these rights are there. Then intellectual property rights are legal rights which result from intellectual activity in the industrial, scientific, literary and artistic fields. So again, there are different types of intellectual properties. So these are the types of different IP or intellectual properties. So starting with the patents. Now patent is like for your scientific invention. Trademark is mainly for your sign, symbol or tagline. Like for example, basmati rice is there. So why that basmati rice name have been given that rice? Because it gives a specific smell of that soil. Bas, if you break that word into parts, like basmati. So bas means smell, mati means soil. So it gives a specific smell of that soil. That's why it is known as basmati rice, and it is specifically from that's Punjab region. Okay, that's why it is classified under trademarks also and under geographical indications also, that basmati rice. So other example of trademark is like whatever the Sun Pharma or logo of Sun Pharma, logo of Cipla, logo of Dr. Reddy's, logo of GSK. So all these are your trademarks mainly. Okay, so you can protect by registering your trademark for 10 years. So validity of the trademarks is of 10 years. Then validity of the patents is of 20 years. Okay, or you can say expiry of the patent is of 20 years. Then next is trade secret. So trade secrets are mainly related to your manufacturing processes and business strategies you are using for your organization. So you can register those business strategies or manufacturing processes under this trade secrets intellectual property. Then next is copyright. So copyright is mainly for literature, artistic work, whatever the sketches or cinematographic stories. So for the protection of those, copyrights is mainly there. Then next is design. So designs mainly related to equipments and instruments. So if you have invented any new instrument or equipment, so for the protection of that instruments or equipment, you have to file a design patent for those respective inventions related to your equipments or instruments. Then database. Now again, database is you can say it is sub type of your copyright only, because whatever the database, that is again related to literature. You can refer it as a literature, so that can be classified under your copyright and it can be protected under copyright. So the expiry of these trade secrets is again for 20 years. Then expiry of these copyrights is of 60 years, 60 years. Then expiry of these designs patents is also for 20 years. Then next is geographical indication. Now this geographical indication, as we have discussed example of basmati rice. Again, like California almonds, you can give example as a geographical identity of that specific region. Likewise, you can give example of Alfonso mangoes. Okay, so that is also classified under geographical indication tab. So for India, geographical indication tab is like you can refer turmeric. So turmeric is India's geographical indication. So these are the subtypes of your IPR or intellectual properties. So for geographical indication, there is no expiry. So role of IPR in pharma industry. So mainly IPR is involved in the protection of invention. Then it gives your economic growth to your organization. Then it also protects consumers and families, like if you are developing product for the society or for the benefit of society, so that can be again safely or efficiently you can provide services to the society, you can say. Then generate solutions to global challenges. Okay, so it gives solutions. Then it also encourages innovation and reward entrepreneurs. So if you are like developing any new product with your startup or your firm, so it encourages innovation. So there are some additional advantages from the government if you are developing new products. So government funding your products, so you can launch your products with the help of government also. So next, the patent. So patent and patent search. Now the basic criteria for patentability is novelty, utility, and non-obviousness. Now what is this novelty? Novelty is it should be totally new. If you want to file patent for your product, so first of all you have to search that if there any relevant patent have been filed earlier or not. That is what the novelty check. So that you can file your patent under that norm. So novelty is totally new thing, so that should not be published in any research article, or it should not be published in any conference or presented any conference. That is what the novelty. Then next, utility. Now this utility is in terms of the industrial application. So whatever the product you have developed, so that should have industrial application on a large scale. That is what the utility. And non-obviousness is nothing but again it should be a very creative or new thing. So that is what the general criteria for the patentability. Then only you can file patent if your product is following under these novelty, utility, and non-obvious criteria. So again, this patent search is mainly prior to patent filing. If you want to file any patent for your product, so prior to that you have to do patent search. So this patent search is for avoiding of the duplication. So whatever the relevant patents already filed in the database, so that you need to search before filing. So it gives like it avoids duplication of the research. Then there are different types of patent search. So mainly patentability search, freedom to operate search, validity invalidity search, state of the art search. Now what this patentability search? This patentability is given invention or claimed in a patent application patentable. So this patentability search is nothing but that whether you can file patent for your research or not. So it is again based on your research only, whatever the patent search reports you have. So based on those reports, you can only identify that whether your research is patentable or not. The next, freedom to operate search. Now this freedom to operate search is nothing but coming outside from the infringement. So what is infringement? Infringement is nothing but if you are copying research of other inventor or owner. Okay, so this freedom to operate search gives you the authority to use or exclude those researches which are not relevant to the previously filed patent. So this freedom to operate search is nothing but you are searching number of ways to file your patent in different way or different manufacturing process or different route for the synthesis of your product. So that is what this freedom to operate search. Just simply remember, this freedom to operate is nothing but you are creating or expanding your ways for filing of the patent, or you are using alternate way of filing by means of different type of manufacturing process which is not already been filed in the patent database. Then next, validity or invalidity search. So this validity invalidity search is nothing but the expiry of the patent. So ideally expiry of the patent or validity of the patent is of 20 years. If there was one patent and it got expired this year, so and you are filing same research from this year, so that is not acceptable. If one patent has been expired, so same research cannot be filed again and again for the protection of that patent. Then state of the art search. So under this state of the art search, the technologies which you are using for the searching relevant fields, like you want to search a patent related to pharma, related to any instrument or equipment. So this state of the art gives you the idea based on your type of technology. Okay, so for which technology you are searching for. Then who is active in a given field of technology, or whatever the customers or applicants or innovators are there in the market or database that you will search in this state of the art uh, type of patent search. Then these are some free patent databases or whatever the search databases you can search patents with these websites, like for India, ipindia.nic.in. Likewise, in other countries you can access patent databases freely. So these databases are totally free. So you can search patents free of cost. Then patent filing process in India. So this is what the patent filing process in India. So prior to this, you have to give search report, patent search report. So with this filing form, you need to give patent search data. Then whatever the patent publication, so after filing your patent, after 18 months your patent will be published or it will be disclosed to the society. Okay, so on the respective government or websites your patent will be published, and that you can refer whatever the research already been filed with the patent office. So that is just for the knowledge of society. So whatever patents have been filed, so that should be known to the society. That is what the purpose of this publication. Then after this publication, request for examination within 18 months. So after 18 months there will be request for examination, and that should be between 18 months to 48 months. So next, from 19th month to 40th month, so there will be request for examination. So after examination, so that third party representation is nothing but for the examination purpose only. So if you have any issues after examination, so you can clarify with the patent office. So all objections to be compiled within 12 months. So after 48 months, if you have any issue, you can submit within 12 months if you have any issue. So patent office will grant you patent. So if any opposition you have, still after granting of patent you can oppose the persons who is inventor or applicant. So you can oppose. This opposition is nothing but you can claim that whatever the patent have been filed, that is improper or inappropriate, that for that you can oppose. So after that, decision of controller will be final, and after appeal there will be appellate board, and that appellate board is nothing but IPAB, Intellectual Property Appellate Board. And if it is invalid, your patent will be revoked. This revocation is nothing but closing of the patent. Then challenges. So these are some challenges, like because of strong IP regulations, it is very difficult to file patent, and pharma industry is a very fragmented industry. That's why patent filing is very difficult. because all whatever the researches have been previously filed that are already there in the market. So it takes almost 15 to 20 years to come with the new molecule or new product. So again, that is very expensive for pharma industries. And again, regarding the pricing, patented product are again expensive as compared to your generic or ANDA products. So that is very difficult to file patent for branded, as you are investing so much for research. Now next is trademark. So trademark, as we discussed again regarding sign, symbol or slogan. So Alkem, Sun Pharma, Walmart. So these are the registered marks. Okay. So again, there are three types. Trademark is general trademark. Service mark is mainly for service providing industries like TCS. TCS is service providing industry. So there will be service mark. Then registered mark is for like there will be R in circle. You might have observed on the products, food products. So like on McDonald's. So there is this MACD. You can observe the registered mark. So this is about patent and trademark. So mainly in pharma industry, we are considering patents and trademark because copyright as such, it is not the part of pharma industry's intellectual property because it is mainly for literary work. So for pharma industry, we are mainly considering patents and trademarks. So if we have any difficulty regarding any regulatory affairs or you can say any IP related activity, intellectual property rights related queries you can ask. Now forum is open for the questions. Hope I have cleared your basics regarding regulatory affairs and intellectual property rights. If you don't want to speak, you can like type in chat box.
Yeah, any questions, you can raise your hands or you can type in your chat box.
So can I ask a question?
Yes, yes, sure.
Okay, so I mean, I just have a basic doubt. Many times people talk about these patents, and a patent actually violates. If you see, patents actually violate the
Yes, yes.
universalization of a scientific concept.
Right,
Right.
right.
Yeah. So what is your take on that? Because it is expected that science is for everyone.
Right.
But then patent violates it. So whether it is acceptable?
Yes, sir. See, because nowadays the whole world is like competing for their respective products or for scientific articles, or if you refer any patent, so there are like some violations. I agree, because they think that it is helpful in their research. So mainly for academic research it is acceptable, but in terms of pharma industry or market capitalization it is not acceptable, because while examining any patent, there is like a huge time starting from 19th month to 48 months. So your examination will be divided into two types. So at the time of patent examination there will be very stringent rule. So whatever articles or patent search reports you are referring or using, so that will not be acceptable. So it will be like optimized in examination phase. So for academic purpose it is acceptable.
Okay. 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 I think.
Sunil sir, there is a question from. Yes, sir.
No,
Yes,
nothing.
yes.
You go ahead. Go ahead with the question.
Yes, yes. What is
Sir,
mean by
so
180
there is a
day?
question from Mr. Prashant Reddy.
Yes, yes, yes.
Right, right.
Yes, yes,
Exclusivity for patients.
yes, I am explaining. Now, what this 180-day exclusivity, Mr. Prashant? So, after expiry of the patent, if you are the innovator, like you have filed your patent long like 20 years ago, and you still want to survive in the market for or after expiry of the patent. So you will get 180-day exclusivity. So this is specifically for innovators or first applicants. So 180-day exclusivity is nothing but you will get grace period of 180 days to sell that product. So after expiry, like after 20 years, for 180 days you can sell that product in the market. So nobody can sell up to 180 days except you. So only you can sell product up to 180 days after expiry. That is what the 180-day exclusivity.
Yeah, it means probably it means that it is the special right for 180
Right,
days.
right. For the innovator or applicant, first applicant only.
There is another question. Please go to that question.
Yes. Difference between summary and overview in CTD modules. So as I mentioned, overview is single like a single page document where you are just mentioning the whole like product portfolio, like mainly whatever the technologies you are using or whatever the formulation technologies or safety measures you are using. That is what the overview. But in summary, you have to summarize all, like starting from your module 1 to module 5. That is what the summary. Overview is mainly related to safety and efficacy, so mainly clinical and non-clinical related overview you have to give. But in summary, you have to give quality, safety, efficacy, all data you have to summarize in the summarized document. So next, most of the time SMPC and pill should be same. Is it true? Yes, it is accepted like in certain countries, like in Switzerland. Okay, in Switzerland, in Turkey. So there are same whatever the pill and SMPCs you are using. So same, it is like only one document you can submit it as a SMPC or as a pill. But that is for specific countries, not for all countries. So one of the example is like Switzerland for this. What about ROW? So ROW is nothing but rest of the world markets, like we are referring Europe and US as a regulated market. So India is also the part of ROW only. So in ROW, there are again country-wise guidelines for submission of dossier. So in India, like in CTD format, India don't accept dossier in CTD format. In India, dossier is there in uh, ASMF format. Like there are four parts for the submission of dossier. Likewise, in CTD, there are 5 modules. In ROW countries, there are 4 parts. Likewise, you can compare those parts with the modules. So first part is administrative part in ROW. Likewise, your CTD module 1. So part 2 is your quality data as your module 3 in CTD. Same as that of your part 3 will be your module 4 in ROW. Same, your module 4 will be your module 5 in CTD. So part 4 is equivalent to module 5 in CTD. So that is what the major difference between ROW submissions and regulated submissions. So that is what rest of the world you can say markets. Is it clear,
Any
Ravi?
other questions?
Is it true that if applicant is woman researchers, is the application processed quickly? It's not like that, but I would like to comment here one thing. There are certain schemes by the central government for filing or for the registration process. So, like for it is in terms of IPR only. It is not with regards to your regulatory affairs. But for filing of the patent, there are specific norms for women. So for whatever the fees or application fees, that will be less for women. But for process, quick process, there is no any like exemption for women or for men.
Yeah, I think the doubts are over now.
Okay.
Here on this platform, I would like to thank Mr. Sunil Patil sir for spending his time and giving valuable guidance regarding the property rights. I would like to mention the efforts taken by the admission department. I would like to thank Principal Dr. Rakesh Somani and all the delegates who are here to attend the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Pradeep sir, and the whole DY Patil team, especially Dr. Rakesh Somani sir, for giving me such a opportunity to coordinate with all the students, all means whole part of India. So it will be my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for accepting our invitation. And you are live on the Facebook now everywhere.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
So this session will go live. I mean, we will publicize this session.
Yes.
Yeah, and do visit college sometimes as and when it reopens, right?
Yes. Sir,
Okay.
one second. I just wanted to tell one thing to students or whatever the participants. Uh, we have some courses related to regulatory affairs, intellectual property rights. If you want to take like any courses, you can contact on these email IDs, or you can directly WhatsApp on this contact number.
Share your email IDs, no, here. You can share.
Yes, I have already mentioned in this last
Yeah,
slide.
this slide it is. Yeah.
Yes.
Or you can share one more time here, no? One more time, you just share your email IDs.
Okay, sure. I
Yeah.
will type in the chat box.
Yes.
So you can coordinate with my team for further if you want to take any courses or any guidance.
Okay. admin@inorim.com.
Yes, I am again giving second idea. So inorimls@gmail.com, or you can directly WhatsApp on this contact number.
Okay.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Chalo, see you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Take care.
Mr. Sadakar, thanks a lot.